What are the most disliked states in the US, and what are the reasons behind this sentiment? We posed this question in a survey and received over 3,000 responses. We didn't provide any additional information other than allowing participants to leave a message if they wished. And boy, did they. The comments got spicy, so we'll examine the states, the votes they received for being the most hated, and delve into why people express their disdain for these states. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10. Alabama. Why not take aim at Alabama? Outside of Huntsville, much of this state leaves much to be desired, so I completely understand this sentiment. They do have some charming small towns, and I'll give them credit for knowing how to throw a party. These folks love to enjoy a good drink, have a great time, and watch some football. Alabama often faces criticism for its extreme weather, including tornadoes, brutal summer heat, and oppressive humidity. Additionally, the state is criticized for its inadequate education and subpar healthcare systems. When it comes to healthcare, I always say it's usually about access, rather than the quality of doctors or hospitals. Often, there just aren't enough of either. In Alabama, the state ranks low in both healthcare quality and accessibility, and poor educational outcomes along with underfunded schools detract from the state's appeal. Alabama also grapples with a history of ongoing social issues, including racial tensions and civil rights challenges, much of which gained attention during the 1950s and 60s, making it hard to shake off that reputation. Furthermore, Alabama has one of the highest poverty rates in the nation, and the strong college football culture can be overwhelming, with Crimson Tide pride visible everywhere. One person remarked that moving to Alabama signals to your loved ones that you've given up on life. Alabama received 67 votes for the most hated state. Number 9. West Virginia. Now, I don't agree with this one. West Virginia has its share of problems, but it also boasts many wonderful attributes. They lead the nation in poverty, often competing with Mississippi for the absolute worst position. This state is known for its economic struggles and declining population. West Virginia is often viewed negatively due to high poverty rates and limited economic opportunities. The state also ranks low on various health metrics, with a high obesity rate and many chain smokers. Additionally, West Virginia was hit hardest by the opioid crisis, resulting in high rates of addiction and overdose deaths. Many families find grandparents raising their grandchildren because their parents are in rehab or jail due to opioids. One commenter mentioned, "Great people to know in West Virginia, just stay out of the hollers and never trust the West Virginia government, from dog catcher to governor." West Virginia garnered 69 votes. Number 8. Kentucky. The Bluegrass State comes in at number 8, and honestly, I don't think there's much to dislike about Kentucky. They tend to stay out of the way, in my opinion. However, at least 73 people disagreed with me. Kentucky faces criticism for its high poverty rates, poor health care, and an education system that leaves much to be desired until you reach the college level, where they do have some serious institutions. The state's strong association with certain cultural stereotypes and economic struggles contribute to its low favorability ranking, meaning people are reluctant to live there. Like many other states, Kentucky has high rates of obesity and smoking-related diseases. It also has one of the lowest educational attainment levels, meaning not many people graduate high school, largely due to underfunded schools. Sure, there are some fantastic teachers, but the government is failing to provide adequate funding. One man commented, "I lived my first 33 years in Kentucky, and I've heard every joke about the state from my cousin." These jokes aren't far from the reality of Kentucky. Kentucky received 73 votes. Number 7. Michigan. Michigan suffers from a bad reputation due to Detroit and Flint, along with the decline of the auto industry. Yes, please don't tell me there are still auto manufacturing jobs in Michigan. They're just not what they were during the heyday of the 1960s, 70s, and even into the 80s. Some of those jobs are returning, and Detroit is improving, but people still cling to that outdated image of the state. Many comments mentioned the weather, which drags them down. Michigan is very cold, and winters can be brutal, while summers bring an onslaught of mosquitoes. With all the water in the state, the heat brings out the bugs. Cities like Detroit have large areas of abandoned buildings, and the infrastructure is in disrepair, contributing to the negative image. We could spend an hour discussing the Flint water crisis, but that's been covered extensively online. One person remarked, Someday Michigan will be great again, but right now it's far from it, and I'll probably have to live to 150 years old to see that happen. Michigan received 88 votes. Number 6, Texas. I was surprised to find that some people dislike Texas. I know a couple of folks who moved there from California and hate it, but they're stuck due to work and can't leave without finding another job. So, why do people hate Texas? The state is often criticized for its extreme weather, particularly the scorching heat, and its bold, sometimes brash cultural attitudes. Texas is prone to hurricanes, tornadoes, and floods, which can cause significant damage and disruption, leading many to dislike living there. Is that Texas's fault? Not really. Every place has its own weather. However, those who move there may find themselves overwhelmed after experiencing a few too many summers or witnessing a hurricane or two, prompting them to leave. The state's political climate, along with issues related to healthcare and education, also contributes to its unpopularity. One opinion stated, "It didn't used to suck. The politics are toxic in this state, and I can't stand talking to anyone. I moved to New Mexico for a better life, free from people discussing politics like it actually matters." A total of 154 people voted that they hated Texas. Number 5, Florida. When one of the most notable things your state has to offer is stories about Florida man, you can expect some eye-rolling. However, there are other factors that contribute to people disliking Florida or hating the state. Despite being a popular vacation destination, Florida is known for its humid, hurricane-prone weather, political controversies, and high crime rates in certain areas. The state's unique and sometimes bizarre stories also add to its negative reputation. Some regions in Florida have elevated crime rates, which can deter potential residents or cause current residents to leave due to safety concerns. The state often finds itself at the center of national political controversies, which further divide its residents. One major turnoff is the overcrowded tourist destinations, which negatively impact the quality of life for locals. One person commented, "We need new people running this state. I don't care what party they belong to. Hell, I'd be happy with a bag of potato chips as governor." Florida received 166 votes for being the most hated state. Number 4, California. First off, I know many of you expected California to be number 1. People are fleeing the state, and you hear all the political stories, but it's essential to remember there's a lot to love about California. Longtime residents who aren't leaving will say, "Yes, it's expensive, but it's worth it. Beautiful weather, great beaches, and always something to do." However, the current state of affairs, such as the homeless situation and skyrocketing housing prices, overshadows all the positives to outsiders. While many are drawn to California for its weather and opportunities, it's also disliked for its high cost of living, overcrowding, and frequent natural disasters like wildfires and earthquakes. I know someone who lost her new house to a fire in the Bay Area 4 years ago. The state's politics and lifestyle can also be polarizing, to say the least. Let's not forget the major cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco, which are infamous for their traffic jams and long commutes. One person stated, "I left the entire state of California because of what they allowed to happen in San Francisco. This is one of the most beautiful cities in the country, maybe on the continent, and now it makes you want to cry." California received 187 votes. Number 3, New York. New York's issues primarily revolve around New York City. It's a large state, but if you talk to anyone or read comments, you'll notice that almost everything people mention relates to New York City. Despite its vibrant culture and economic opportunities, New York is often disliked for its high cost of living, rude residents, and intense traffic. New York City is notorious for its overcrowded public transportation and streets, which can be overwhelming, especially for those not accustomed to city life. The state's reputation for having some of the worst drivers and the highest taxes contributes to its low popularity. Beyond housing, the cost of everyday items and services is significantly higher than in many other states, largely due to New York City. Additionally, New York has one of the highest state debts in the country, affecting public services and infrastructure. One person commented, "New York City drags us down. The entire state is not New York City, and most people don't understand that. If it weren't for New York City, New York would fit right in with New England." New York received 199 votes. Number 2, New Jersey. New Jersey is often associated with high living costs, dense traffic, and industrial areas that contribute to pollution. The state is frequently criticized for its brash residents and pollution levels, earning it the nickname, the armpit of America. New Jersey's dense population and proximity to major cities like New York and Philadelphia lead to significant traffic congestion, especially on the New Jersey Turnpike. Many people dislike New Jersey primarily because of its residents and their communication style. While they're not necessarily rude, they tend to be very upfront and direct. One person remarked, "The best thing to see in New Jersey is D's nuts." Anytime I mention New Jersey, someone leaves a comment about that. I'm not sure what's going on with New Jersey, but it's a mess. New Jersey received 221 votes. Before we get to number 1, here's our question of the day. In your opinion, how much is too much for a house, and what state are you from or where do you live? I don't need your city, just your state. Now on to number 1. Number 1, Illinois. There's a lot happening in Illinois, and this could take a while to unpack. Much like New York City does for New York, Chicago does for Illinois. Interestingly, Chicago isn't even the most dangerous city in the state. Many factors contribute to people's frustrations with Illinois, including high taxes, political corruption, and significant population decline. Residents and outsiders alike view it as an undesirable place to live due to these economic issues, especially in cities like Chicago, where the crime rate is notably high, further tarnishing the state's image. Illinois has faced significant budget crises and pension liabilities, leading to financial instability that impacts public services and infrastructure. Additionally, they experience harsh winters, which often go unmentioned. Just look up Chicago snow to see how thick it gets. The summers can also be hot and humid, which many find uncomfortable. While Illinois is relatively affordable in terms of real estate, high taxes and an overall expensive cost of living make it less appealing. One person stated, "I hate Illinois. I lived in Chicago for 3 years and had my car broken into 4 times. Last week, they took the whole car." Illinois received 277 votes. That wraps up today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you'll probably like one of the 2 videos being shown to you right now. Give them a look. Have a great day, everyone, and be nice to each other.